Skiggity diggity. How are you doing?
Unacceptable
Conditions!
For those of you who don't know, that's Lemon Drop. Justin
Lemon
Roiland.
grab.
Lemon Drop is something completely different.
It's a good candy or something.
So, me and Josh were just talking. I know sometimes we break these videos up. We actually just record this all at once for you guys watching at home. But we've noticed over the past we've done. This is what episode is
It's
this?
all been during the same NBA game.
It's every time you guys are watching the show. If you guys haven't noticed, in that TV behind Josh's head, yes, believe it or not, we are in the same room.
We are.
I know it doesn't really look like it, but we are in the same room. Behind Josh's head is a TV, and every time we are on, NBA is playing in the background. I'm almost convinced that Philadelphia or the Warriors is the only two teams that have ever played during our shows.
Well, it's my thing with the show is that we have to be recording during an NBA game, so
yeah,
or else I won't do it.
Yeah, Josh had in the contract that we've never discussed. Josh had
verbal.
He basically had a clause that said if NBA games aren't on, I'm out.
I'm verbally committed to having that might be my background, as long as well as like
also,
a 1920 TV.
I don't like this. I'm taking this off.
Yeah, I don't like your thing that you got going over there. What we're gonna talk about?
I like the old mic. There we go. It was muzzling my sound too much, I think.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Spit protector. I don't spit enough.
You don't want that.
No.
Don't need that.
Don't need it.
Don't love it.
Anyway, I had something that I wanted to kind of bring up, and I basically heard about it
Through the grapevine?
No, I heard Daniel Cormier. What is the wife?
DC.
What is the wife of the schmo?
Helen Yee.
Helen Yee was interviewing Daniel Cormier, and they were talking about Jon Jones. They were talking about Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz in the octagon. And first of all, that fight is next weekend. Gonna be a freaking awesome card. UFC 259.
259, and yeah, we usually break it down Thursday nights, but we're giving it justice. We're gonna be in here, literally Tuesday to break it down because this card deserves so much justice.
Yeah, we want you guys to get the full effect all week. So, and we're going to start trying to do it a little earlier in the week for you guys. I know usually we do this thing on Thursdays, put it out on Fridays. You guys hopefully get to watch it Friday and Saturday. If not, that's really on us. So we're going to start trying to put these out sooner in the week. These are just one of the days that me and Josh are able to get together.
And we got broader topics too that we're going to talk about instead of just like the fight night that kind of comes and goes and then the aftermath of that.
Exactly.
Obviously.
So, but basically right now, one of the things that they brought up, and Daniel Cormier, to me, made a very good point, that the Israel Adesanya fight coming up against him and Jan Blachowicz is interesting, one, not only because that might be a lot closer of a fight than people think. Obviously, Izzy has a huge fan base, 20-0, undefeated. Probably considered one of the best in the game at the moment. A young Jon Jones. That's why there was so much interest in people wanting Jon Jones to fight Izzy. Well, really, Izzy to fight Jon Jones. Now, Jon Jones, with his tumultuous history, is a wild card. One of the greatest to ever grace the octagon, if not the greatest to ever grace the octagon. But he's a wild card. So, the real thing that Cormier pointed out to me, and Josh, I obviously want to know what your opinion is on this, but originally, they said that they want Izzy to fight Jon Jones. Now, when I heard this, I say, yeah, would that be an awesome fight? For sure. But really, when you break it down, they're not
compatible.
They're compatible in a sense, but to me, it's not really a close fight, in my opinion, because Izzy was fighting at middleweight.
85?
At 185. Jon Jones was fighting at light heavyweight.
Whole career. Always been there.
Always been there. But Jon Jones can walk around at about 230. If not, yeah.
And they've had so much back and forth too on Twitter and everything.
Jon Jones won't back down from nothing, and neither will Izzy, which is great. A great personality matchup.
Izzy's a great shit talker.
Izzy's to me he's a
Troll.
he is a troll. Jon is a great shit talker because he doesn't give a fuck. Izzy, on the other hand, is a troll, and he's
True.
in touch with
That's
this
true.
like younger generation of like, hey, I can throw in some kind of pop culture references and people will get them, but I'm also pretty good at talking shit. I mean, you saw it throughout the entire Polo Costa showdown with those two.
Yeah,
they
it
were
was
talking
fantastic.
mad shit to each other.
Yeah, Izzy is definitely a troll, and he'll tell you he's a troll.
Yeah,
and he's really
he's
good at it. But it's stuff that will like really, really trigger you, or like trigger Jon Jones fans, or trigger Paulo Costa fans. It will really like upset you and like make you upset and make you mad. He's good at that. He's good at getting in your head, and that's why a lot of people like Israel Adesanya, and that's why some people don't really like him. But you don't hear a lot of those people.
You don't, and it's kind of funny. Like, I'm not. Josh, I think, is a bigger Israel Adesanya fan than I am. I don't dislike the guy one bit. The guy is methodical with his game. He truly is a style bender. I think he picks and choose. I mean, all of his fights so far, especially the last 7. 7. So you had Brett. I mean, just his last 7 opponents. Starting with the worst, ending with the
best
the nearest.
Of the best.
Brad Tavares, Derek Brunson, Anderson Silva, the Spider, Kevin Gastelum, who just fought 2 weekends ago, Robert Whitaker, Yoel Romero, and Paulo Costa.
And Derek Brunson's fighting Kevin Holland, another guy who Izzy's had run-ins with.
So
best of the best.
You can't knock Izzy's record. You can't knock his level of competition. You can't knock his shit-talking game, and you can't knock his skill. Really, he is probably one of the best fighters in the entire UFC at this moment. But we all know that Jon Jones is one of the greatest fighters to ever grace the octagon, even though in his last couple fights he hasn't quite looked like the younger Jon Jones that we've seen. Doesn't matter, he's still winning fights. Still hard to beat him, he's still lanky, still got plenty of skill, and now Jon Jones has moved up to heavyweight. So what Cormier highlighted was that he believes, and I'm really in Cormier's camp on this, he believes that Israel was scared to fight Jon Jones. And when they originally said, hey, you should fight Jon Jones, hey, you should fight Jon Jones, hey, you should fight Jon Jones, Izzy said, hey, I'm going to wait
until
I've got things to accomplish in this division before I want to move up and fight Jon Jones. Okay, Izzy.
And he accomplished those things.
You accomplished those things. You did. You were the best in your division. You did very well. You are the, 3-time defending champ?
Yeah, I mean, really nothing left
Yoel Romero?
in that division to really figure out. There's not much left that he could really prove in that division unless he fights. I mean, a lot of people want him to fight Whitaker again. Same with me, too. I'd love to see him fight Darren Till, but Darren Till lost to Robert Whitaker.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've got to see Darren Till beat Marvin Vettori, who took Israel Adesanya to a split decision. And so if Darren Till wins that fight against Marvin Vettori, who you see had a split decision loss to Adesanya, then you're getting into that kind of territory. Yeah. But really, Robert Whitaker is next, and he's already flatlined him. So
and really, that's
prompts
the only
the move
person
up
at the moment who you can really see in that division being like, okay, that's somebody that I think you could fight. I mean, he could.
Bobby Knuckles.
Other than that, I kind of don't really see anybody. I mean, I guess Cannonier's up there, but now
he lost to Bobby Knuckles.
But here's the deal: Israel's moving up to light heavyweight, and this is the issue. This is the issue at hand. Next week, Israel's fighting Jan Blachowicz. But guess who's no longer in the light heavyweight division?
Mr. Bones.
Mr. Bones, Jon Jones. So he decided to make the move up to lightweight to capture a second belt in a second division when arguably the greatest UFC fighter to ever grace the octagon and that division is no longer fighting in that division of light heavyweight. He's moved up to heavyweight, which Jon Jones can rock around, like I said, about probably 235, 240.
You could argue two things here. You could argue that...
Let me pose the question first. Pose your question, and
then I'll...
Is Izzy scared to fight Jon Jones? And did he only move up to light heavyweight to capture a chance at the belt once he realized Jon Jones is not going to be there to defend the title or even compete with him against the title?
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I don't think he's scared of Jon Jones.
Make your case, good sir.
Because you could argue, on the other hand, Jon Jones is scared of Jan Blachowicz. Because why won't he defend his 205 title against Jan, paper champion, some people call him? Why don't you defend it against Jan Blachowicz, a guy who just became champion after a long career? You know, he just kind of captured that title. But Jon Jones has other things in mind. I think he wants to move up to heavyweight and like be that champion. But like you could argue that Jon Jones is ducking Jan Blachowicz. I'm not making that argument. I don't think he's ducking Jan Blachowicz.
I think people could be
you could
making that
see
argument.
it. I think he's moving on to brighter pastures of I want to be a 2-weight world champion because no one's ever beaten me at this division. No one will ever beat me at this division.
Yeah.
No matter what. Like even if I go back down, no one will beat me.
He can't drop down to 185.
And then you can argue Adesanya has nothing left to prove at 185 at the moment because he literally, like you said earlier, fought everybody.
Yeah.
I just think
there's nobody in the top 5 to 7 that are even really worth his time. Maybe, like you said, Marvin Vettori, maybe Darren Till, but Darren Till lost to Robert Whittaker, so it's like
I think it's bad timing on Adesanya's part, but I mean he had the Paulo Costa fight to worry about when all this was kind of going on. I think he was entertaining Jon Jones. I think Jon Jones was really getting pissed off at him. I think he was just entertaining the idea. I don't think it was like a super possibility to him this soon, maybe down the line, but I think Jon Jones
he said something like a year and a half to 2 years.
He did say that. Yeah, Adesanya said that. And maybe that's still in the
me,
cards.
When you say something like that to me, like, and I get it.
Well,
like,
at the time, he still had stuff to prove at middleweight. He still had some of those fights that he had to prove. I think, he took Whittaker and Costa within a pretty close time.
Well, he took Romero and Costa.
Romero, Costa,
he
and
took
Whittaker.
Then Romero, and then Costa.
It's ridiculous.
So, to me, when I look at this, so you don't think that Izzy's ducking Jon Jones?
I don't think he's ducking Jon Jones because I think on the other foot you could say Jon Jones is ducking Jan Blachowicz.
So here is my counter argument to that argument that Jon Jones would be ducking Jan Blachowicz. Jon Jones is beating the best of the best. He's beat Daniel. He's beat Daniel twice. He's beaten Gustafsson. He's beaten Anthony Smith. He's beaten Thiago Santos. And then he beat Dominic Reyes, which Dominic Reyes actually gave him quite the fight.
Yeah, close fight. So that's why.
But then Dominic lost
to Jan.
To Blachowicz. But we already knew that Jon Jones was
flatlined,
without a question, the best in the division.
Probably the GOAT. Yeah,
probably easily the GOAT of the division.
Probably the best.
Sure.
Maybe the best the sport has ever seen.
So now,
doesn't want to lose that
invincibility.
invincibility.
What does more for Jon Jones' legacy? To stay in this division and fight Jan Blachowicz, who has never fought for a title in his life, and then beat him, and then the rest of the division is really Thiago Santos again, Dominic Reyes again.
What does that do for you?
You got Jiri Prochazkas, Josh's favorite fighter, Jiri Prochazkas. You're almost repeating at that point. Or does it make more sense to move up to heavyweight, where you have guys like Stipe Miocic, who is arguably the greatest heavyweight of all time.
Greatest heavyweight of all time, yeah. I mean, no, I agree with you because move up to heavyweight because there's nothing left for you to prove. I mean, there was one thing that he could have proven, which is beating Jan and moving up. I don't think
but
it's not a big
his
deal.
Legend
it's not a big deal
because what he could do is wait for Jan to win the title and then move back down to light heavyweight.
Wait for Jan to beat Izzy.
I'm sorry, for Jan to retain the title after he fights with Izzy. Now, here's the deal.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a very good possibility.
Yes, and maybe my original question, now that we're kind of breaking it down, I think maybe it was just perfect timing in each division for each person to move up.
No, it makes so much like
Maybe
you
they
were
weren't
right.
really ducking each other, but I think Jon Jones doesn't do any good to go ahead and fight Jan, because Jan was, I mean, he's a champion now, but he's not an established champion, and I think more for your pedigree of fighting and your legacy, if you beat Stipe Miocic, the greatest heavyweight that's ever lived statistically,
And that's
probably
not
ever,
arguable.
That's not
he
arguable.
He is the best.
He is, yeah. So if you beat him, then you have, and let's just say, hold on, let's just say this. Let's say you move up and you fight Stipe and you win.
John.
Then Izzy beats Jan Blachowicz. Now,
You're at a
either fight,
crossroads.
basically Jon Jones has now been set up in a position to be the most captivating person in the UFC at a time where they really do kind of need somebody to step up and capture the you lost Khabib. He probably will come back, but you lost him for now. Conor,
I don't think so.
He's kind of all over the place right now. Dustin, great guy.
Doesn't like fighting.
Yeah, he's just not. It's just not one of the captivating figures. But if you have a guy like Jon Jones, who, if Izzy beats Jan Blachowicz,
Or he likes
now
fighting.
you have Izzy at lightweight champion, and you have Jon Jones at heavyweight champion, and you have, well, I guess we're gonna have to wait because
But the only way that it's going to happen
Francis is fighting Stipe next, correct?
March 27th.
So that's where a wrinkle kind of comes into this, because if you have, what I was going to set up something else, I was basically going to say now you have the choice to choose to take on Ngannou, or you have the
you
choice
can
to
go back
take on
down.
Izzy as a champion of the division that you just left, and then if you come back and beat Izzy in your own champion that you vacated, you're undeniably the GOAT.
So Jon Jones is putting himself
In the best position possible.
the perfect position.
So
Because
it's more of an unfortunate timing for Izzy, but also fortunate, because it gives him a chance to capture the belt without having to go through Jon Jones, and he eventually will have to go through Jon Jones probably anyway, because Jon will possibly take the heavyweight belt.
Like we said, I mean, last
And then
time,
he's got the world by the fingertips. He's got the world by the ball sack.
Yeah, like you said last time, like there's so much in the heavyweight division. Like Derek Lewis deserves a title shot.
And he was tripping when he said he didn't.
And yeah, I know, exactly. So if Jon Jones beats, he's gonna fight the winner regardless. That's already set.
Jon Jones is going to fight the winner of Stipe and Ngannou.
So if he wins that fight, whoever it is, he's already undeniably the GOAT. But then after that fight, he might go back down to 205. We could maybe see that, because I mean, Izzy's not a heavyweight.
Izzy's not a heavyweight, but I think Jon, because if I'm Jon, I don't care about fighting anymore. I care about legacy.
So
I'm only going to take the fight if it's the best fight possible. Right now, he's going to fight the winner of Ngannou Stipe.
And that's set
Honestly,
on, dead on.
That's going to be a tough fight too, because I'd love to see either one of those guys win, but I think for the tail of the tape of Jon Jones, I'd love to see Stipe win, and then Stipe fight Jon beat Stipe, and then go back down to recapture the belt against Izzy.
It would make sense, because like if Stipe won, he's kind of a similar build to Izzy, kind of, if that makes sense. But if he beats Ngannou, then it's like, you beat Ngannou, you're probably gonna beat Izzy, right? Like the power,
think so, right?
The power is
crazy. It depends on, I guess, how he beats Ngannou.
But then, as I was saying that, I was thinking of like the precision of Adesanya. Maybe it's a little bit different, but
see, that's the thing, that like precision is precision. Yeah, that's great, but you have the power to not get knocked the fuck
we'll
out.
See. I mean, am I ruling this fight ever happening out? No. I think it's possible. But is it probable? Not in the near future.
Wait, I'm sorry. Back up. Maybe I'm confused. Which fighter?
Izzy and Jon.
You think it's improbable?
I think it's not probable. I don't think it's impossible.
So if you think it's not probable, does that mean that you think that Izzy has a possibility to lose to Jan Blachowicz?
I definitely think that's a possibility.
I do too.
Will Well,
Polish power ain't nothing to fuck around with, my man. I'll tell you that.
The legendary Polish power.
In the octagon, I take your head.
No, I don't think that's a possibility. But I could also see Izzy taking the belt. So
that's gonna be, and we're gonna,
and we'll talk. We'll break it down.
We'll break it down
sure,
even more next week. But I think that the tail of the tape right now against the Israel Adesanya Jon Jones beef is going to be very interesting the next couple of this next year.
So yeah, I like this topic. Is he ducking Jon? I don't think so. Is Jon ducking Jan Blachowicz? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think, in my humble opinion, I think Izzy was ducking Jon a little bit in the beginning, but then things lined up so perfectly, neither of them could not afford to move up. It benefited each fighter to move up in a division. It just was unfortunate timing that they weren't going to face each other at that time. For Izzy, it makes perfect sense. For Jon, it makes perfect sense. But the fact that Jon can now come back down as well also sets up just a crazy storyline.
If they both win.
Of success.
Yeah.
If they both
win.
That'll be something that we're going to keep our eye on. Obviously, we're going to know instantly here this upcoming weekend. Not this weekend, next weekend, when we have the Izzy Jan Blachowicz fight, and we're going to talk about that more next week.
If they both win, biggest fight in UFC history. Mark it.
Hands down. I guarantee it sells more pay-per-views than Conor ever sold.
Guaranteed.
Guarantee. Double stamp, period, no erases. Like we's back on the kickball field in gym class. Period, no erases.
Period. Bitch.